My husband locked me in the bedroom with our 7-year-old daughter. "This is your punishment," he said. His mother stood behind him, nodding. I didn't cry. I found a way out, and did something he never saw coming. 45 days later, they lost everything. My name is Heather, and I never thought I'd be afraid of my own husband. The man I shared a home with. A bed. A life. But fear doesn't kick in all at once. It creeps. First, you stop arguing back. Then you start watching his face before you speak. And one day you're hiding your phone because, what if he thinks you're talking about him? You look around and realize you're living in a cage. A comfortable, air-conditioned, soft pillow cage. With a spotless kitchen. And a smiling family photo on the wall, where you look happy. Almost convincing. That Friday started like most. Almost normal. Michael came home later than usual. Irritated. Predictable. He tossed his keys onto the entry table, cracked open a beer, and walked right past me. I was pulling dinner from the oven, potato and broccoli casserole. His favorite, when he's in the mood to admit it. "Where's my mother?" he asked. "On the porch with Ava," I said. "She wanted to show her the rosebush." Michael rolled his eyes. "She doesn't know how to handle kids," he muttered. "All she does is nag and act like she's the parenting authority." A minute later, the front door opened. Ava burst in, laughing, waving her sketchbook. "Mom, look what I drew." And then, her foot caught on her sandal strap. The sketchbook slipped. And so did the glass of orange juice she'd been holding. It crashed to the floor, soaking into the carpet. Pause. Stillness. "What the hell are you doing?" Michael shouted. I turned fast, hard in my throat. "She didn't mean to," I said. "You let her get away with everything, Heather. This is your fault. She does whatever she wants." He started walking toward her. I stepped between them. "Michael, stop. Look at her. She's scared." He pointed a finger at me, sharp and trembling with fury. "And that, right there, is why this house is a mess. You two are out of control. You're both grounded. Bedroom. Now. You can't be serious." He grabbed my arm. Not hard enough to bruise, but hard enough to prove a point. There was something in his eyes I hadn't seen before. Not just anger. Control. He led us upstairs. And then the door slammed shut behind us. Click. I reached for the knob. Turned. Locked. "Michael." I called. Nothing. Then from the other side of the door, flat and cold. "Sit down. Think about how you've been acting." That's when I heard the footsteps. His mother. Mrs. Thomas. Soft slippers. Measured steps. I heard her approach. But she didn't knock. She didn't speak at first. Just stood there. Quiet as a statue. "You really think this is okay?" I said loudly. Finally her voice came, calm as ice. Someone finally had the backbone to do something. She didn't need to say anything else. I knew she nodded. Didn't have to see it. I felt it. Slow, approving, as if to say about time. I stared at the door. The knob. The shadow at the base. And in that moment, I realized something sharp and simple. They both betrayed me. My phone was downstairs. No food. No water. The window had bars. We were locked in a castle. But there were no nights. Only me. And my 7-year-old daughter. "Mom," Ava whispered. "Is he mad?" "No, sweetheart," I lied. "He's just upset. He'll let us out soon." Lying came easy. Too easy. She curled up on the bed, small and quiet. I sat beside her, staring into the dark. Downstairs, I heard the murmur of the TV. The crunch of a cookie. Mrs. Thomas was having her snack. Like everything was fine. Later, silence. Then, snoring. Michael always snores after beer. I sat on the floor by the door. And something inside me tore, quietly. No screams. No fists on the wall. Just the sound of something breaking. Internally. Permanently. I remembered the night he threw my phone at the wall. Later, he said, "It was glitchy. I'll buy you a new one." And he did. And then he added, "You live here because I allow it, Heather. Don't forget that." And I did forget. For a long time. I tried to be understanding. Supportive. Quiet. I tried to be a good wife. For Ava. For appearances. For a dream that had long since rotted. The first time I considered divorce, I was paralyzed. He had money. Lawyers. Charisma. He told me no court would take me seriously. That I was emotional. That he was just a firm father. And I believed him. But that night, locked in with my child, no phone, no food, no way out, I stopped being afraid. I wasn't scared. I was angry. And I was ready. The next morning he opened the door. Freshly shaved. Coffee in hand. "Well, you calm now," he said like a teacher scolding a child. Hope you learn not to talk to me that way, Heather. I said nothing. Just walked past him, holding Ava's hand. Brought her into the bathroom. Brushed her hair. Washed her face. Kissed her forehead. It's okay, baby, I whispered. Very soon, everything's going to be different. He watched us from the hallway, smug. Like he'd won. But I'd already started counting. 2 days. 5. 10. Sometimes I think silence was wired into me from the beginning. Not as a virtue. As survival. If you don't cry, don't argue, don't get angry, you get punished less. If you smile and nod and understand everything, they call you a good girl. And so you grow up. You become a woman. But inside, there's still that little girl who thinks love has to be earned. I was born in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Small town. Small house. Big silence. Dad was the law. Mom was the wall. If I cried, Mom would say, "Shh. He'll hear you." If I got upset, Dad's voice would boom down the hall. "Control yourself, Heather. No one likes a hysterical girl." Eventually, I stopped crying. Stopped raising my voice. I learned how to swallow everything. Anger, fear, even myself. I was 20 when I met Michael. He was a little older. Steady. Calm. Sharp-dressed. He walked like he knew where he was going and didn't care who followed. With Michael, I felt safe. He always had a plan. Always knew what to say. "You're not like the others," he told me in our first week. "You're smart. Calm. Real." I thought that was a compliment. I really did. He'd pick me up from class. Bring me coffee. If I was late getting home, he'd text. "Where are you? You okay?" I thought, this is what it feels like to be cared for. When he said my friends were too shallow, I stopped hanging out with them. When he asked me not to take that part-time job, "It's not worth the pennies, babe," I didn't argue. He said he'd take care of me. And I let him. He always said we were a team. What I didn't realize was, he was the only one wearing a jersey. After the wedding, he suggested I stay home. "You want to be a mom, right? We'll figure it out." I believed him. Then came Ava. Pregnancy. Sleepless nights. The slow, creeping fear of being a bad mother. And Michael, he started pulling the strings tighter. First, the money. "Why do you need your own card, Heather? I pay for everything." Then my circle. "I don't like you spending time with Emma. She's manipulative." Then my time. "Why aren't you home when I get back? What the hell do you even do all day?" At first, I didn't notice. Because there were always excuses. But he doesn't drink. He doesn't hit me. He takes care of Ava. He works hard. And besides, I agreed to this, didn't I? Then came that night. Ava had just started preschool. I got home a little late. Stopped at Walgreens to grab her rash cream. Michael was already home, standing in the kitchen, stiff and simmering. "Where were you?" "Walgreens," I said. "Ava's cream ran out. Why didn't you text?" I had no answer. Just dropped the bag on the counter. He stepped in close. Too close. Grabbed my wrist. Tight. "You think I'm stupid?" he hissed. "Let go." "Oh, now you're giving me orders?" And he pushed me. Not hard. Not dramatically. But enough. I fell back, slammed into the doorframe. Pain shot down my arm. He froze. Eyes wide. "Oh my God. Heather." I didn't mean to. He rushed to me. "Help me up." Hands shaking. "You pushed me," I whispered. "You made me lose it." But I had no right. "I know. Please, just don't call the cops. We're not like that. You know that. We're not like that." And I thought I did. So I didn't. The next day he brought flowers. 2 days later, a ring. A week later, he was yelling again. And I went silent for good. I buried the memory. Locked the door. Lost the key. But I didn't delete it. A few months later, I opened his laptop to look for some photos. And I found a draft email. He'd written it to a friend he rarely talked to. It said, "Remember that asshole neighbor who took my spot? I definitely went too far. But he got the message. It's handled. I didn't ask. I didn't confront. But I saved it. Emailed it to myself. Just in case. Now I know why. Now I wake up and look at Ava. Look at my own hands. They're shaking. But not from fear. From resolve. I don't know exactly how I'll do this. But I know that I will. I won't let him, or her, or any of them shut me up again. Not with guilt. Not with gaslighting. Not with silence. I don't know what it'll look like yet. But this time it won't be yelling. Or revenge. This time it's paperwork. It's orders. It's court dates and case numbers. It's evidence. It's my name on the filing line. Because when they locked that bedroom door, thinking they'd backed me into a corner, they didn't realize. They didn't trap me. They released me. And I remembered who I was. And how much it hurt to grow up as the girl who never made a sound. The next morning, he kissed me on the cheek. Just like that. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't locked me and our daughter in a bedroom. Like he hadn't stared at me the night before like I was some kind of misbehaving pet. Like his mother hadn't stood behind him, holding her coffee mug, face full of quiet approval. I smiled back. And in that second I realized. I could pretend just as well as he could. Something flipped inside me, like a switch. I went quiet. Precise. Step by step. He thought I was scared. I was just counting. Step 1, the crisis center. I told him I was going to the pharmacy. Instead, I drove across town. I'd made the appointment under a different name through a chat system. Safe Shelter, Lafayette Square, Savannah. The building was small. Peaceful. Soft yellow walls. The woman at the desk introduced herself as Daniela. She didn't smile like a receptionist. She smiled like someone who'd seen 100 versions of me and knew that I wasn't crazy. Everything you say here stays here, she told me. You have the right to be safe, even if he says otherwise. She handed me a folder. Inside were pamphlets. Safety planning. Legal protection. Steps for leaving. That phrase used to sound like a tagline. Now it felt like oxygen. A caseworker named Joanne asked only 3 questions. Has he ever limited your access to money? Yes. Does he yell in front of your child? Regularly. Has he ever threatened you directly? Not in words. In actions. Do you have any documentation? Photos? Recordings? Not yet. But I will. I walked out with a new expression. Not fear. Focus. That same night, I turned my phone into a microphone. Michael came home in a worse mood than usual. Something had gone wrong at work. He stormed into the kitchen, keys clattering on the counter. What's for dinner? Pasta. With a salad. Of course. Spending money again, huh? I said nothing. You have any idea what I deal with all day? What I carry on my back? What exactly did you accomplish today? He kept going. Harsh, fast, a low whisper laced with venom. He didn't want to wake Ava. I just nodded, eyes down, and let the recording run in my pocket. After, I uploaded it to the cloud. Created a new email account. Password, AvaHope17. Next stop, the bank. Wells Fargo. I opened a personal checking account. Told the banker I wanted to save for a surprise gift for my husband. She smiled and nodded. No further questions. I opened a P.O. box too. Just in case I needed to receive mail, real mail, without it going through our house. Then came the documents. I found the old box in the back of the closet, beneath winter scarves and things I hadn't touched in years. Ava's birth certificate. My social security card. Health insurance info. Our mortgage summary. The deed to the house. And there, my name. Listed as co-owner. I'd forgotten that part. Michael had insisted I be added at the time, not out of generosity, but because we needed dual credit to qualify. Still, there it was. Then I found that letter. The draft. The one I wasn't supposed to see. Remember that jerk neighbor from the parking lot? I went too far. But he got the point. All handled now. I remembered that day. The shouting. Michael coming home with scraped knuckles. The ambulance next door. And then silence. Michael had said, "It's taken care of." Now I knew, he'd buried it. Just like everything else. I emailed the letter to my new address. Saved a copy to a flash drive. 1 week later, I sat across from an attorney. Her name was Rachel Klein. 40s. Cold eyes. Warm voice. The kind of woman who doesn't blink when you say the words control or threat, or he locked us in. She listened without interrupting. Then nodded once. You have a case. A good one. Seriously? Rachel ticked off points with her pen. Economic abuse. Threatening behavior. Physical confinement. A minor witness. Audio evidence. And potentially a prior assault charge if the neighbor corroborates. She took the letter. I'll file for a TPO, temporary protective order. And what does that mean? He'll be ordered to stay away from you and Ava. First temporarily. Then if we pursue it long term. What about the house? You're living in it. You're named on it. With your evidence, we can file for exclusive use of the marital home. That means he'll be required to leave. I exhaled. Then inhaled like I hadn't in months. Housing. I found it through Ava's teacher, Ms. Allison. Her sister had a 1-bedroom rental just off Parkington Avenue. Nothing fancy. But safe. The kind of quiet that didn't make me feel watched. I had keys within 3 days. I packed secretly. 1 suitcase for me, papers, laptop, a few clothes. 1 for Ava, t-shirts, her favorite unicorn toy, a toothbrush with a cat on the handle. When the day came, I was ready. Michael left for the office. His mother went to church. I made Ava breakfast. We got dressed. She looked up at me, curious. Where are we going, Mom? I smiled. To somewhere new. I carried everything to the car. Quietly. Deliberately. No looking back. And before I closed the door, I walked to the hallway mirror. Took out a pen. Left a note on the glass. This was your lesson. Mine starts now. Then I shut the door. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel like I was leaving something behind. It felt like I was finally walking forward. I wasn't running. I was reclaiming. He called. Once. Then 3 times. Then 14. I didn't pick up. He left voicemails. His tone shifting. From apologetic to hurt. From accusing to outright threatening. You don't understand what you're doing, Heather. You're destroying our family. You'll regret this. I promise you. I didn't respond. I just forwarded them to Rachel, my lawyer. Marked the folder in the cloud. Evidence, threats, and coercion. He wasn't used to losing control. He thought he still held the strings. The phone. The money. The house. The wife who did what she was told. Now he had none of it. I was living in a tiny apartment with white blinds and a creaky floor. Ava slept beside me in a panda print sleeping bag. We ate box mac and cheese. And I felt free. A week later was the hearing for the TPO, the protective order. We sat in silence. Me, Rachel, and the empty chair across the aisle. Michael didn't show up. Maybe he thought this was temporary. Maybe he thought I was being dramatic. The judge read through the documents. He listened to the audio. The clip where Michael's voice rose into a harsh growl. You're gonna wish you kept your mouth shut, Heather. Then the judge turned to the statement we added last minute. From the neighbor. Mr. Wallace. I was afraid, he wrote. But now I see I'm not the only one. Michael Thomas punched me, slammed my head against a car hood, and offered to settle it like men. I agreed just to make it go away. But I never forgot. The judge looked up. Ms. Thomas, have you reported any of these incidents to the police before? No, Your Honor, I said quietly. But that was a mistake I won't be making again. It took less than 5 minutes for the decision. The court grants a 12-month protective order. Mr. Thomas is prohibited from contacting the petitioner or her daughter and must remain at least 100 yards away at all times. This includes in-person, electronic, or third-party communication. Additionally, Mr. Thomas must vacate the marital residence within 48 hours. And the Savannah PD will be notified regarding the potential assault charge based on submitted evidence. I left the courtroom with my hands trembling. Not from fear. From adrenaline. The first taste of justice. 2 days later, Rachel called me. They're panicking, she said. Michael's retained an attorney. His mother's been calling my office nonstop. What do they want? A deal. Michael didn't want the criminal charges to stick. His attorney offered a compromise. He would give up his share of the house. Sign a quitclaim deed. In return, we wouldn't pursue assault charges over the neighbor incident for now. And we wouldn't seek back child support for all the years I was carrying the financial load alone. I asked. If I agree, does he disappear? He'll be legally required to. I'm in. They thought it was a win. It wasn't. It was closure. 1 week later, I stood inside the now empty house. I opened a window. It smelled like paint, dust, and freedom. His mother couldn't step foot in it anymore. She had no keys. No rights. I sold the house through a realtor. Quick. No open houses, no bidding war. Closed in 45 days. The check. 6 figures. Part of it went to rent. The rest, into a $529 education savings plan, in Ava's name. I opened the account online. Listed myself as the owner. Beneficiary, Ava Thomas. Note, for the life you choose. I started taking online accounting classes. At night, after Ava was asleep, I made new friends. One from the shelter support group. Another, the neighbor downstairs, who invited us to a backyard barbecue. Ava laughs more now. One day she asked me, Mom, is it always just going to be the 2 of us? I hugged her. Not forever. One day we'll have people around us who are kind. But for now, yes. Right now it's just us. A month later, the phone rang. It was her. His mother. Heather. It's Mary. I know. Michael's hurting. He wants to see Ava. He can file through the court. We're family. I'm her grandmother. I hung up. No anger. No fear. No regret. Some nights I sit quietly and wonder. Why did I wait so long? Why did I stay silent? Then I look at Ava, drawing on the floor, or playing with the rescue dog I finally let us adopt. I look at her face, the light in her eyes, And I know it happened when it needed to. Because the best things begin when you finally choose yourself. He locked me up because he thought he could. But I walked away because I realized I didn't have to stay. What do you think? Did Heather do the right thing? Was leaving the way she did, quietly but deliberately, the right choice? Should she have done it sooner? Louder? With more warning? And did Michael deserve what he got in the end? Losing his house, his power, and the illusion of control? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every one, and your voice truly matters. If this story moved you, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. There are more powerful, honest stories coming about choosing yourself and never looking back. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves and the ones you love.